So you're looking for ways to come off your GLP-1 agonist medication like Tirzepatide, since the FDA has now banned the compounded version. What to do, what to do. Don't worry, I got you. My name is Dr. G, and I'm an internal medicine physician in Hollywood, Florida. I'm also a lifestyle modification coach, a patient education expert, and also pretty good with GLP-1 agonist medications, consulting over 300 patients a month on these medications, on how to use them and what to do with them and how to get off of them. So, I don't know if you heard, but the FDA has gone ahead and lifted the shortage designation of the Tirzepatide, or the active ingredient in Zepbound, which is Tirzepatide. The compounded version in about 60 to 90 days will be banned for the foreseeable future, which means that if you are getting your medications off of a trusted compounded pharmacy, in the next 2 to 3 months, you will no longer be able to get those medications, at least not through the legal route or the safe route. So you're left with very little opportunity if you're not being covered for weight loss medications through your insurance or your employer-funded insurer or whatever other situation you have outside of this cash pay model that you found. Wow, compounded pharmacies exist. I can get this medication from them, but it was only because Tirzepatide's in shortage. So I want to talk to you about what we're doing here in the office, helping people to make that transition away from compounded Tirzepatide. Some will go to cash pay version that Lilly has, but others just are thinking, hey, it's time. This is a sign. It's time for me to get really, really serious about weaning off of this medication. What can we do? Are there other meds that we can use in the interim? Yeah, what are we gonna do about this, doc? So let's talk about it. Number one, if they hadn't already, which most of my patients have, but if they're just new to the office, get serious about adopting a structured meal plan. Making sure that, number one, above all, prioritizing protein. Getting at least between 15 to 30 grams or more, if if you need it, in every meal is absolutely essential to hold up your lean muscle mass. Once again, while you're losing weight, it makes you feel fuller longer. It also decreases spikes when combined with carbohydrates. Lean muscle is made of proteins, made of other stuff too, some water, some collagen, other stuff that's in there, but essentially we're talking about protein is what's building up that lean muscle of your body, and you're gonna need to pack that on. That doesn't mean carbohydrates are poison or anything. We're not gonna do that, but we will say we will limit our carbohydrate intake to mostly, let's say 90% of the carbs that we put into our body will be from whole grains. Now, we're talking about the browns, right? We want to stay from the whites in the refined rice and pastas and go to the brown whole grain pastas and whole grain rice, quinoa and bulgur wheat, although all those good things are not as processed as the white colored carbohydrates. Absolutely, positively, we'll stay away from ultra processed carbohydrates. Those are always a no-no. Of course, no one is perfect, and I don't expect you to be either. 1 time out of 10, maybe 2 times out of 10, when you choose something, you can choose some ultra processed, but it's going to be super limited the amount. You want to keep these things out of your diet as you are continuing to come off of the Tirzepatide and glide into a new, healthier way of nutrition. Part 3 of your meal plan is going to include increasing your fruits and vegetables. Got to get at least 2 to 3 servings of fruit a day, and increasing your non-starchy vegetables like spinach, zucchini, if you can handle it, cauliflower if it doesn't make you gassy. All those are good options. There are, of course, other non-starchy vegetables, but what I'm saying is increasing the high starch or the non-starchy vegetables is important. It's going to help you to keep your carbohydrate loads down, keep you fuller, and also adding fruits is going to give you some energy as you continue to hone in on your nutrition, but also it's going to increase your fiber, which will in turn help to keep your gut health healthy, and that's good. Your gut flora healthy, which is great, and it keeps your intestinal lining working at tip-top shape, which then will help to keep your liver working the way it should. So it's all about what you put into your mouth and what you put into your intestines and the quality of the food and the quantity. Again, good protein intake, high protein intake, low simple carbohydrates are going to be on the low end, and you're going to keep your complex whole grains in the higher end of your carbohydrate intake. And number 3, fruits and vegetables are going to be up there. Got to keep those up there. Excellent way to fill up your belly. It's a great way to get your fiber and also to get some of the micronutrients you need from the vegetables. Lastly, your structured eating should include making sure that you have a meal every 4 to 5 hours during your eating hours. So if you are a person that eats basically from 10 to 7, every 4 hours or so, you should be eating something, dividing your total caloric needs by 4 to get what you need for the whole day. And of course, prioritizing protein, making sure that you're getting your whole grain carbs, making sure you're snacking with fruit, and your vegetables are all included. So every 4 to 5 hours, getting something into your body so you don't overeat. When you do, like if you were to, hold off from eating for 12 hours and you finally get something, you'd be ravenous and you may overdo it. So that's probably reason number 1 why you should continue to feed yourself and make sure you're getting some calories in every 4 hours or so, based off of your caloric needs on, calculated caloric needs. You can use my calculator. My calculator works amazing for this. It's a meta calculator. It will calculate how many calories you are burning weekly based on your specific activities, which is a lot more specific than just putting in on a TDE calculator that we had before, where it just said, hey, just working out 20 minutes 3 to 4 times a week. Not all exercises are created equal, so we wanted to get a little bit more precise for you to use this on your weight loss journey, your lifestyle modification journey, and now you're weaning, you need to wean off of the GLP-1 agonist meds. Some of you will do step number 2, which would be to take a look and see if you can transition to another non-GLP-1 weight loss medication. There are other ones out there. I've talked about them before in an earlier video earlier this year, but typically you're going to be asked about, some of the other ones that you may or not have tried, how they work for you. Phentermine is one of them. Topiramate is one product. You have naltrexone, with bupropion, which is another product. And of course, you can always stretch out your time and stay on the GLP-1 agonist medications and get your get a trusted compounded pharmacy to serve you. You can get your doctor to order semaglutide for you, and there you go. Those are your options. You can try phentermine with topiramate. You can try naltrexone with bupropion, or even, again, like I said, semaglutide. Each one of them are different. All of them suppress your hunger drive at different levels. Of course, the GLP-1 agonist medication, semaglutide, is head and shoulders above the other 2 that I mentioned. But again, if you do need the medications for transitioning, you do have options. Not everyone's going to choose to go to another medication from Tirzepatide, but if you do, you have options. You can talk to your provider about that. And the second step that you could do is something else. Instead of transitioning to something else, watch my weaning video where I can show you how to wean off of Tirzepatide. Basically, the whole concept is to either increase the intervals from one injection to the next, from 7 days to 10 to 14, and so on and so forth, as you feel more and more comfortable, or decrease the dose from your 10 to 7.5 to 5 and 2.5 in a stepwise fashion. You can do both at the same time, increasing the interval and decreasing your dose as you do so, and seeing how you feel and lean more on your own lifestyle modification changes that you've made while the time that you are on the medication. So weaning off the medication, or weaning off of Tirzepatide altogether, or transitioning to another medication are your 2 options from a medication standpoint. Number 3, and this is probably my favorite, increase that caloric burn. Find some more exercises that you like and maximize that out. Obviously, you want to get to the bench. You want to get to the minimum, the Mendoza line, let's call it, the minimum line we want to stop at if you're going to stop, your exercise, exerting yourself or losing your weight through caloric burn. It's 150 minutes. Scientifically, this is where, we've landed 150 minutes. Optimize at 200. So you still have about 50 minutes that you can put in there, almost an hour more a week that you can do that. So we're talking about 150 to 200 minutes a week is where we need most of us, all of us, to be while we wean off of Tirzepatide and all other medications for weight loss. And part of your weight loss journey anyway should include activities that are moderate to vigorous between 150 to 200 minutes a week. You should divide that up. Don't do that all at once. Might hurt yourself. So you're gonna ask me now what type of activities. Cardiovascular for sure, 2 to 3 sessions a week, and you can, about 30 minutes each one, and then you need to add in some weight training for sure, at least 2 sessions of weight training where you are doing about 80% of what you can max lift, whatever your lift is, and bringing that to almost, up to 2 reps for failure at some time during the week. What we're looking for is to push these muscles to almost the brink and breaking them down little by little and adding the protein on the back end with your nutrition to build them back up. And that will increase your lean muscle mass, or at least keep it from dropping as you lose weight. This muscle mass tends to burn more energy while it's just not doing much versus, adipose tissue that, just sits there and really doesn't burn any energy versus what your muscles are doing just to keep you upright, walk, and be alive, be you. So we want to keep lean muscle mass. Of course, we also have studies that show that patients with more lean muscle mass have better outcomes overall in just about every category: mortality, cardiovascular disease, cerebral vascular disease, renal disease, diabetes, everything, some cancers. So keeping your muscle mass, dementia is a big one for older folks. Less falls for folks who have a stronger base of lean muscle mass at an older age. So absolutely important to keep your muscle mass, your lean muscle mass as you lose weight. And the best way to do that is to continue to do resistance training. And number 3, for keeping your exercise up and increasing your exercise, you got to track your progress, how much work you're putting in, your effort and all that to see if you're actually progressing, to be able to push yourself and hold yourself accountable. So tracking your progress is absolutely necessary. You can't just willy-nilly your exercise routine. You actually have to get a structure about it, exactly what you're doing, what body parts you're working, how hard you're working it. You can write these down in your phone, you can write it down on a piece of paper, in a notebook, whatever you like, but you need to keep track of this to make sure that you are on the upward trajectory, getting stronger, getting leaner, getting better. Number 4. Practice mindful eating and make sure you continue behavior modification throughout. Is this something, it's a lifetime thing. So mindful eating, I talk about this, and this is one of my favorite things, and probably has helped me the most with my relationship with food. It's always making sure that when I sit in front of a plate of food, I ask myself, okay, this is gonna be great. Sure, it's gonna taste great, but what else am I getting out of this? What macronutrients can I see on this plate? Can I put more? Should I put more of these protein or something else? And what quality of food is this? Is this something that is going to serve me the best in the next 24, 48, 6 weeks? How is this going to help me build the body or keep the body that I want for the long term? Is this going to serve the purpose? And that's part of the mindful eating. Of course, the rest of mindful eating is taking your time, savoring this meal, understanding what's, the textures and the tastes and all that, not being distracted by anything else, not being distracted by extensive conversation or the phone or the television or nothing else, but you're in the moment with your food. It helps you to stay fuller longer. It helps you to eat less, to be more satisfied with what you've eaten or what you are eating, and it's just a better experience. That's the way real food is supposed to be enjoyed. You're supposed to, savor the moment. Don't be off in la la land and just shoveling food into your face. You're gonna overdo it. Food journaling. I talk about this all the time. This is another way you can help your own process with practicing mindful eating and making sure you don't overeat is food journaling. It's a great way to hold yourself accountable, seeing exactly what you're eating by looking at it and it spits out, says, hey man, this pie is 750 calories. Like, man, I thought it was like 350. No, it's 750. Wow, I've been putting in more calories than I thought. Maybe I should curb this behavior. So food journaling is a great way to stay mindful about what you're eating because we sometimes mindlessly eat and forget we even had that. Tomorrow, the next day, I'm like, what did I have for snack? What did I have for snack yesterday? See what I mean? Got to write it down. And behavioral therapy for cognitive behavioral therapy for eating is very important. We've talked about this on other videos and I'm going to talk about it again right now. Understanding what your barriers and triggers are. Your triggers to overeating or eating this thing in this time or this place. Is it emotional? Is it, time? Is it because either people around me? Is it because I'm in this place? Is it because, I'm going through something, I'm stressed? What is actually triggering you to eat the food that you're eating? If it's outside of hunger, it could be a poor relationship, a missed relationship, right? It's a mismatch. It doesn't work. Food does not help us feel less lonely. It does give us a feeling of well-being from the dopamine that's released, but that is totally different. That's a masking drug that our body is, programmed, is wired to do that just to make you, want to eat. Like, eating is for survival, of course. If you eat enough of the right macronutrients, you're eventually going to get what you need, I hope. But if you don't mindfully select and you're not eating it the right way, you may overeat and not eat the right macronutrients at all. You may just stick with one, maybe just all protein and no carbs and no healthy fats, or all carbs and no protein at all. Whatever it is, it's very important to know what your triggers are for foods and situations that may be harmful to your health in the long term. So super important to make sure that you are on top of your behavioral triggers that are associated with food. Here's one nobody likes to talk about, and this goes along with the journaling with the food, is tracking your progress overall. Whatever your goals are, it's impossible to, say you're on a journey or you're doing something, or you're driving from Miami to Tallahassee, but you don't track exactly where you are. You don't look at the signs and see how far it is to the next town. You don't know where the next gas station is. You don't know how much gas you got in the car. You don't know how many dollars you have in your pocket. You gotta track all these things. It's the same thing on a lifestyle modification journey. You gotta track these goals. Now, it's not all weight, I get it. There's not gonna be all scale victories or scale losses. There are gonna be a bunch of wins and losses in other places. Your labs, how you're feeling, checking in on how you're fitting in your clothes, checking in how you really feel about your confidence. All these things are very important. And you got to track these metrics on a daily, monthly, and on a long-term goal. So tracking is super important, and it also lets you know whether or not you are doing the things the right way and going in the right direction. Nothing is worse than doing something for 3 months, not really taking a look and like, I just wasted 3 months. That's why you should track and make sure things are what they appear to be. So there's a concept, if you're gonna set your goal for tracking your metrics, it's called SMART because it's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's realistic and relevant, and it is time bound. That's a good way to approach any goal setting really, but for your lifestyle modification journey, those are the areas that you can model your goals around to make sure that you are on a winning track. I want to set you up and you want to set yourself up. Everybody wants to be set up to win. And this is one of the ways you can do that by setting your goals with that, using that mnemonic. And then you got to follow up. You got to follow up with like your doctors, like me. You got to follow up with your doctor every 4 to 6 weeks, maybe, 2 months, just to make sure that your labs are okay, that you're losing weight appropriately or not, seeing what's happening here, helping you to redirect and helping you to see where you may not see your barrier or trigger and help you to get through those things. So following up with a professional who is going to be your lifestyle modification coach, your doctor, your professional who is involved in your lifestyle modification journey should be totally on board to seeing you, every 4 to 6 weeks. So I'll put some of the resources that you may need for, following these 5 points in the description below. And I'll also put down there a link that you can join our online lifestyle modification community for 7 days free of charge. It's on me. Check it out. See if you can get some more of these tips and more in the community, along with a group of people that are really cool and are positive minded in the life modification space. So with that, stay healthy, stay informed, and I will see you soon.